You ever wonder what makes a horror story really get under your skin? It's hardly ever the monster you see. It's the one you don't. Today, we're going to tear down a brilliantly simple, totally chilling story to figure out the mechanics of fear. We're not just going to retell it. We're going to dissect the anatomy of a perfect scare. Let's dive in. It all starts with these 5 words, just dropped in with no context, no explanation. Just a raw, primal statement that immediately puts you on edge. This right here is our starting point for one of the most effective little pieces of horror you'll ever come across.
So, the story introduces us to a guy named Arun, and the first thing it does is lock him into a routine. And this is classic horror 101. You build up a sense of normalcy, a totally predictable pattern, so that when you finally break that pattern, the effect is 100 times more jarring. And wow, what a pattern it is. Every single night, without fail, Arun wakes up at exactly 2:17 in the morning. The story's really specific about this. It's not an alarm clock, it's not a noise, it's a sharp and cold certainty. That phrasing is so deliberate, right? It feels less like he's just waking up and more like something is switching him on. For 3 solid weeks, this is his life. The story just drills this oppressive rhythm into our heads. Wake up, 2:17, same room, same ceiling fan. This repetition builds this foundation of predictability that is just begging to be shattered. And then on the 4th night, it is. The thing that breaks the pattern doesn't come from a creaky floorboard or a shadow in the corner. Nope. It comes from the one object we all feel safest with, the thing that's always right there next to us, his phone. The very tool we use to connect with people becomes a pipeline for pure terror. And there it is, the message from an unknown number. Now, what's so smart about this moment is Arun's reaction. He's rational. He immediately assumes, okay, this is a prank, or maybe it's just sleep paralysis. It's exactly what we would think, which just pulls us deeper and deeper into his shoes. He even sends back this one-word reply. It's his attempt to grab the steering wheel, right? To dismiss the fear, laugh it off, and put the lid back on the scary box. But, well, whatever is on the other end is not playing around. And boom. This one sentence is just genius. It completely vaporizes his skepticism. It's so specific, it's knowledgeable, it proves the sender isn't just guessing, they are watching. And it forces his attention and ours to a single, terrifying spot in the room. And of all things, it's the mirror. The story tells us that Arun already has this deep-seated fear of mirrors at night, all thanks to his grandmother's old scary stories. So the horror isn't just happening to him, it's tapping into a fear that was already there, just waiting. It is psychological priming at its absolute best.
You can just feel his heart hammering in his chest. He knows he has to look, but every part of him is screaming not to. And right in that moment of hesitation, his phone vibrates again. The tension is almost unbearable, and the story just cranks it up even higher with another text. One word. That's all it takes. And this is a masterclass in pacing. The entity is now directing his actions. It's forcing him and us to experience this reveal at its own deliberate, agonizing speed. There's no quick glance. He has to take it all in. So he finally looks, and here's the twist. He doesn't see a monster. He sees himself. But his reflection is acting on its own. It's terrified. It's shaking its head, trying to warn him. The doppelganger in the mirror isn't the threat. It's the first victim. It can see what Arun can't. And the phone confirms it. The threat is no longer trapped inside the glass. It has crossed the threshold. It is in the room. The fear just became physical, and it's in the one place he can't possibly see. So now that the threat is confirmed to be in the room with him, the story does something really clever. It shifts from visual horror to sensory horror. Arun doesn't see anything new, but he feels it. The air gets heavier, warmer. It's a presence so close it is physically changing the environment around him. And then the first direct communication that isn't from a text message, a whisper right next to his ear. This line is so unbelievably chilling because it implies the entity has been there the whole time, for 3 weeks, just waiting. It's not an intruder, it's a resident. The climax is just pure sensory overload, and then nothing. He hears his own reflection scream in absolute terror, and then the lights just blink out. Total darkness. The story takes away our vision at the most critical moment possible, leaving our imaginations to cook up something far, far worse than words could ever describe. So what makes all of this so profoundly scary? I mean, it's not about gore or cheap jump scares. It's about a very specific and powerful principle that lies at the heart of all great horror. It's the unseen threat. This story is a perfect execution of this idea. By never, ever describing the entity, by only showing its effects, the texts, the reflections fear, the change in the air, it forces our own minds to become the monster generator. And let's be honest, our own imagination will always be our greatest. But the story doesn't end in the dark. The next morning, the police find Arun. He's alone in a locked room, his mouth just stretched in a silent scream. There's no sign of an attacker, which makes the whole thing even more terrifying. It was a perfect, untraceable crime. But it's not over. What we just witnessed wasn't just some random haunting. No, it was a process. A repeatable, methodical hunt. It establishes a routine, it initiates contact, it uses a reflection to reveal the threat, it confirms its presence, and then it moves on. It has a system. And this is the final, brilliant twist. Arun wasn't the end of the line. He was just one stop in a much longer, horrifying chain. This thing is like a virus, and the story's final moments show us that it has just found a new host. The story ends exactly where it began. The same time, 2:17 a.m. The same text, sent to someone new. The horror isn't just a monster, it's a self-perpetuating cycle. And the most terrifying question it leaves us with isn't just what happened to Arun, but who's next?